Why? All right, good morning, traders. Today it's July 9th, 2025. My name is John Carignan. I am the lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. Hey, let's go take a look at the charts. Before we take a look at the charts, let's look at the monologue. All right, so today's July 9th, 2025. My SPY pivot this morning, 620.65. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. All of the Fab Five still in daily uptrends. Nothing's broken. Everything is still working. We're just taking a little breather, a little rest, a little cool off. Okay, SPY, Diamond Dow, IWM, QQQ, all made inside days, closing inside or just over their bullish traps, over their 17 EMAs. FNGU made a lower high and a lower low, closing inside a bullish trap over the 17 EMA. SPY closed with a 2-hour downtrend and a 10-minute downtrend. Gold, technically in a downtrend, but not really moving down too fast, okay? Gold made a lower high and a lower low, closing under a bearish trap under the 17. Silver in a daily uptrend, made a lower high and a lower low, closing inside a bullish trap over the 17 EMA. USO in a daily uptrend, starting to peak up here on USO. USO made a higher high and a higher low, closing over a bullish trap over the 17 EMA. UNG still in a daily downtrend, made a lower high and a lower low, closing under a bearish trap under the 17 EMA. US dollar index still in a downtrend. We like that. Closed near 97.53 area. SPY Max Pain 619 with a put to call ratio of just over 1.1 put for each call that expires today. All right, let's take a look at a few of these. All right, we got some bulls and bears. These are in bullish uptrends. These are in bearish downtrends, but we got some that are breaking out. Yesterday, breaking out. Let's take a look at M-Chip, I, and Joby. Okay, let's take a look at M-Chip, I, and Joby on the daily chart. Okay, let's take a look at EYE. All right, you can see 4-candle hold up top here over prior consolidation, and now you're getting a breakout on EYE. Came in yesterday. All right, so I breaking out to the upside. Joby, again, got a 5-candle hold, breaking out right here. Okay, yesterday, nice big green candle breakout over the 5-candle hold. Okay, on that one, M-Chip. M-Chip got a 4-candle hold and breaking out over the red candle right there. Of course, it was breaking out over this red candle earlier. Now we're even breaking out even higher. All right, let's look at Zscaler. ZS. All right, Zscaler still ready, looking ready to break out here. Okay, now notice they gapped up but traded back. All right. So they are getting ready to break out. We'll see what happens. Or they got shot down on the breakout, one or the other. But this is still consolidating up here in the grinder box for a breakout to the upside. Okay. See what else we got for gifts. All right. And CRDO. Last one. Okay. CRDO. Try it again. CRDO still in that grinder box. Looks like they already tested the lows there. Back up here to the highs. I like CRDO up here, up over 94.80. All right, so CRDO still in the grinder box, looking for a breakout to the upside. All right, let's take a look at SPY. And we'll look at it on the 10-minute first. Okay, you can see this is 10 minutes. This is the price action from yesterday. Okay, so it's straight across. It's really just consolidation, all it is. Okay, if you look at it on the 3-minute chart, you'll see nothing but a chop day yesterday. Really difficult. We made a few trades. they weren't that profitable. All right, because they didn't go anywhere. All right, we only make money when we have 10-minute uptrends, or 10-minute uptrends, or 10-minute downtrends. Okay, that's where we make the money. All right, when price stays within $1.50 range, which it did, stayed right here between 620 and went up as high as 621.40. All right, so $1.50 range is very difficult to make profits in, or gains, especially when you're a trend trader. Okay, so you can see this is the 3-minute chart. You can see you're up over VWAP, under VWAP, over VWAP, under VWAP, over, under, over, under, over, under. I mean, it passed back and forth probably 10, 20 times yesterday. All right, so it was a chop day. Now, all right, if when price does this to us, all right, 2 or 3 times before noon, all right, it's a good chance it's going to probably chop all day until 2 o'clock. And then, around 2 o'clock, 2:30, if there is a breakout, do you really want to trade the breakout with only an hour and a half left in the day? All right, you have to make that decision. That's up to you. All right, for me, I don't think that's a great scenario, especially for a beginning trader. All right, it's much easier to make your profits in the morning, but there was nothing to be made, only because you can see price got up and over, up and over, up and over, all right, several times before noon. So all it does is chop up your account. Okay, so there's SPY. That's on a 3-minute chart. 10-minute chart, into the close, we had what looks like to be a 10-minute downtrend, all right? But really just moving over to the right. We haven't broken anything there. Okay, so just possible 10-minute downtrend. You can see we're gapping up this morning. We'll see how far we get. Again, over 622 would probably be a trade of green erases red. Up over, if they can start closing candles up over 622, that would be a bullish green erases red entry up there on SPY. Other than that, I'd be looking for the continuation of the 10-minute downtrend. We'll see what happens. Maybe they go up there, they print a candle, and they give it up and come back down. We'll see what happens. But we closed, yesterday with a 10-minute downtrend. On the 2-hour chart, yes, we have a 2-hour downtrend there, all right, on the 2-hour chart. On the daily chart, we're still in an uptrend. Okay, we're just taking a breather. We went 9 days up, all right. It's normal to take, a breather for, 2-3 days, maybe even a week, all right, or 5 days, okay. So while we wait for, moving averages to catch up to us, everything to kind of cool off before we make another move up higher. So there we are, SPY on the daily chart, and we'll look at this with the quad lines on here. Okay, you can see we're up at the top of quadrant 4, all right. That's bullish, still in an uptrend, making higher lows and higher highs. Nothing's broken, we're just taking a breather. All right, so up here, top of quadrant 4, that's bullish up there. Okay, for the game plan. All right, let's dig out the game plan for this morning. We have a green erases red entry up over 621.75. Probably prefer to be up over 622.10 up here. Okay, up over 622.10 would probably be the safer entry up there, seeing a candle close up there. But we have a green erases red entry over 621.75. That's if you want to be aggressive. SPY pivot 620.65. Above it I'm a bull, below it I'm a bear. Red erases green entry underneath 619.30 right here. Okay, underneath 619.30. I'm going to still stay underneath that plateau right there. Even with all these tails down here, still want to be right underneath that. So red erases green underneath 619.30. For QQQ got a game plan as well. QQQ game plan is green erases red over 553.90. Green erases red. QQQ pivot, 552.55. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. Red erases green underneath 551.10. All right, is a red erases green entry down there on the downside. Now, on both SPY and QQQ, okay, I like Friday options. So either 2 days till expiration or 9 days till expiration. I like the multiple of 5. All right, they tend to have more open interest on the multiple of 5. So, for instance, 555, 560, 550, 545. Okay, the multiple of 5. I like $5 to $15 out of the money. Okay, I like them $5, $15 out of the money because if you're in the money, they're going to cost you more. When you have a small account, it means you can get only fewer options because you want to keep a set risk amount. All right, to be consistent, you want to be consistent with your risk. All right, so when you get a small account, you're able to buy more contracts. If you go $5 to $15 out of the money, they tend to be a little bit cheaper. Okay, you're not going to get the performance that you would for something that was in the money. All right, you're going to get much better performance for in the money 0 DTE. All right, now I'm not against trading 0 DTE or in the money, but when you get a small account, all right, and you're first starting out and you got not just learning about risk and money management. I believe it benefited me to start out with $5 to $15 out of the money and giving it more time in case things did not work out. Okay, so like a 2 days till expiration as opposed to something that's going to expire in 6.5 hours. Okay, or a 9 days till expiration as opposed to something that's going to expire in about 7 hours. All right, so there's QQQ. So both SPY, QQQ, all right, I like those Friday options on the multiple of 5. So that's going to be either 2 days till expiration or 9 days till expiration. And I like $5 to $15 out of the money. Okay, so now I also like 10-minute uptrends over VWAP and 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. Now, if we get a 10-minute uptrend that manifests down here long before the green erases red entry, I'm not opposed to trading that 10-minute uptrend that happens to manifest down here. All right? I'm not against trading that 10-minute uptrend. I would like to see it either pass through the pivot, all right, or break a rubber band candle on the 10-minute chart. Either one would pique my interest in trading that 10-minute uptrend that happens to manifest down here or originate down here long before the green erases red entry. Same on the bearish side. If we get a bearish downtrend, let's say this fails, this breakout that they're working on right now fails up here, and we manifest a 10-minute downtrend way up here, okay, I will look for 10-minute rubber band candle to break or price or that 10-minute trend to pass through the pivot, therefore showing me that price is now moving in the southern direction. So I'm not opposed to playing the 10-minute downtrend if it originates up here, okay? Long before it gets to the bearish green, red erases green entry down here. Okay, so that works for both SPY and QQQ. All right, let's go back to the charts. Let's pick up the daily chart. Again, we already did SPY. We'll do it one more time. All right, so SPY, daily uptrend. Oh, by the way, we have a 2-day uptrend because they've made a higher high. Got a 3-day uptrend. Okay, that's something I couldn't say about 2 weeks ago. Okay, and we have a weekly uptrend. Okay, so just recently, the 3-day, the 2-day, and the weekly made a higher high, therefore negating the technical downtrend that price was in. All right, even though it was in a downtrend, it was not moving down. Okay, I said we're in a downtrend technically, but we're not moving down, and we weren't. All right, and you can see price went up and took out the high. So here's the pullback that happened to negate the downtrend that we were in. Finally, it took a long time though, but it did work. Okay, so there's the weekly. Weekly's now in an uptrend, and the monthly was never in a downtrend. So monthly's in an uptrend as well. Okay, so what do I like? I like, this is the perfect scenario for me. And we had this last week. All right, I like 10-minute uptrends over VWAP that are inside of 2-hour uptrends, that are inside of a daily uptrend, and that daily uptrend is inside a weekly uptrend, and that weekly uptrend is inside of a monthly uptrend. You see what I'm building here? I'm building like the perfect pyramid. All right, and all of that is over the all-time high or the prior all-time high anchored VWAP. Okay, that's the very best scenario for me. All right, that's really what I like to find, and we had a lot of that last week. All right, and because of that, we were able to make lots of profits on that. Okay, by the way, I have started a new 27K account for right after the open house, and a 5K account. Okay, so on the 5K account, let's go ahead and look at that real quick. All right, on the 5K account, you can see we're at 5048 on the 5K account. Okay, took a little hit yesterday because we're still holding those puts, and it doesn't look like they're going to work for us this morning, so probably take a hit on that. On 27K account, we're up to 29,698 right there. Okay, current holdings for the 27K account are right here. You can see I've got some long-term SPY calls because I believe SPY is going to get up to 650. All right, I think SPY is really gearing up to go up to 650. All right, so 640 calls, 22 days till expiration. 640 calls, 16 days till expiration, only one of each. 635 calls, 9 days till expiration. And you can see these expire this week. I got some 0 DTE 615 puts. I got some 2 days till expiration 615 puts. And some 2 days till expiration 625 calls. Okay, so those will probably negate the puts. Hopefully, not all the puts, but some of them. All right, so that's what's in the 27K account right now. And that's all we got right now, okay? Again, yesterday was nothing but a chop day. All right, so let's drill down, check out the rest of the market here. All right, QQQ on the daily chart, you can see, okay, QQQ. Inside day, all right, it's a lower high and a higher low. Closing over the bullish trap, over the 17, okay? It's a red day, but it's just cooling off, okay? That's normal. This is normal stuff for it to cool off. It's up there at the top of quadrant 4. It's not broken. Everything's still working. We're still up over the 17. Okay, QQQ, daily chart, still in an uptrend, making higher highs and higher lows up at the top of quadrant 4. That's bullish. All right, IWM. Okay, IWM still up here in the upper third. That's still bullish. Okay, inside day. Okay, lower high, higher low, closing over the bullish trap, over the 17, over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Okay, IWM still bullish, still in an uptrend, making higher lows and higher highs. Diamond Dow. Okay, Diamond Dow is lower high, lower low. No, inside day. Lower high, higher low. Closing inside a bullish trap. That's bullish. Up there in over the 17 EMA. Up there in quadrant 4. That's bullish up there. Over the all-time high anchored VWAP. And yes, still in a daily uptrend, making higher lows and higher highs. That's still bullish up there. Anytime you're in the upper third, that's bullish. In the lower third, that's bearish. Take a look at FNGU. All right, FNGU has 10 of the most heavily weighted securities in QQQ and SPY. So we follow FNGU because when those 10 securities move as a pack, they can pretty much drag those two indexes, regardless of what all the other stuff is doing inside the index, when those 10 move as a pack, they can just drag the whole index in whatever direction they're moving into. Okay, so there's FNGU. Yesterday got a lower high, lower low. It's the only one with a lower high and a lower low. Everybody else got an inside day. Closed inside a bullish trap over the 17. You can see up here in quadrant 4, little grinder box setting up right there for FNGU. Okay, so price action, that's bullish, still in an uptrend. Okay, making higher highs and higher lows. Okay, that's why we follow FNGU. Okay, let's look at technicals, T2122. Okay, you can see we popped out of the buyer's chop zone straight into the buy zone right up here. Camped out here all day, made looks like 1, 2, 3, 4 appearances inside of the overbought zone, but all in all, we spent the day in the buy zone. That's T2122. That's the 15-minute chart. T2123. This is the 15-minute chart. Look at the bullish gap. We're bullish. Okay. See the bullish gap still not filled by the bears. All right. And look at the bullish gap this yesterday morning, still not filled by the bears. All right. So bullish gap here, still not filled. That's your clue. We're bullish, all right? Keep an eye on FNGU. That's the one to keep an eye. That's going to be the one to move the markets, okay? You can see these can get bullish like they did yesterday. These are bullish, all right? But if this one doesn't move up, okay, it will cancel out whatever all of this does, okay? This is everything in the NYSE, pretty much. All right, this is everything in the NYSE. Okay, that's a lot. This is only 10 securities right here. Okay, and you can see if they're red, okay, it doesn't matter. All right, because you saw the SPY were flat. It doesn't matter how bullish these guys are. It's just not enough. They just don't carry enough weight inside that index to keep it moving up. You can see SPY did not move up at all. All right, it just went straight across. Whereas this moved up, this moved down, this one trumps the T2123, all right, which is everything in the NYSE for the most part. Okay, so there's T2123. Again, bullish gap, not filled by the bears. We're still bullish, all right, up over the rising 200 SMA, T2123, making higher lows and higher highs. That makes us still bullish. T2123, same thing, same product, 3-bar chart. Again, price holding that higher ground. Back here on the 15, look at price hold the higher ground. Okay, that takes an incredible amount of energy to hold this higher ground for that amount of time. That's like, I don't know how many of you exercise, but it's like holding a plank for 6 hours. Okay? It takes a lot of energy to hold that up there like that. Okay? That's strength up there. Okay? That's strong when you see that holding that higher ground up there. Hey, they're not moving up and making new highs. Maybe they did. Yeah, they did. Okay, so they did make a new high, but not by much, just a penny or so. Okay, but you can see that takes strength to do what they're doing right there on T2123. Okay, so now here's a 3-bar chart. Again, you can see that bullish gap up, not filled by the bears. Another bullish gap right here, not filled by the bears. I mean, they're just everywhere. Another bullish gap, not filled by the bears. Okay, this is bullish, T2123. Okay, we're up over these 2 prior all-time highs. All right, we're up over the flat 200 SMA. And if we happen to take out the top of this peak right up here, and we're getting close, and we may have already done it. All right, if we take out the peak up here, all right, we will negate the daily downtrend that we're currently in. All right, we'll have to check that out. See if we made a higher high than what we are. I'm just going to put the crosshairs on. Yeah, I think we're up over that. So, yeah, definitely up over that. So, we're in an uptrend on the daily chart now, too. Okay? And you can see T2123, 3-bar, making, here's a low. Okay, making higher lows. Okay, low, higher low. There's a high, higher highs in an uptrend. Okay, moving up, holding the higher ground. Look at the move up. Hold the higher ground, break out, consolidate over the prior consolidation, and then another move up. Okay, so there's T2123. Okay, now you got inflation. All right. Okay, why are all these moving up? All right, think about it. You know what inflation does, and it looks like we're going to get more if we're going to have tariffs. All right, inflation causes the cost of goods and services to go up. All right, doesn't mean you got more goods and services. It just means you're going to pay a higher price point for them than what you did yesterday. Okay, so when those go up, well, that company, as long as they're selling the same amount of goods and services each year to the community or to the the demand structure. All right, they're going to be making more revenue. More revenue usually transcends into more profits. And guess what? More profits transcends into more earnings per share. And then more earnings per share means what? Well, usually you get a higher price point. When you get that higher price point, well, guess what? The whole market goes up. So inflation, it sucks for the consumer. But let me just say, for the investor, it's a gift. All right? It's almost better than a good earnings report that you waited 4 years for, okay? Because now they're going to be selling goods and services for a higher price point, all right? So inflation is like an instantaneous gift, all right, whenever you see inflation, all right? And then what does it do? It causes all of those stock prices to go up, and hence that's why you get SPY hitting new all-time highs. QQQ hitting new all-time highs. IWM hitting new all-time highs. Diamond Dow hitting new all-time highs. That's what happens. That's what inflation does. All right? Because now all of those products are going to be selling for more. Yes, all those products are selling for more. The securities inside are now going to be selling, going to be worth more. And people have to pay more for those now. All right? And that's what causes your 401ks to keep climbing up. It should be. All right. We'll see what happens. All right. So there's T2123. All right. FNGU for yesterday. Okay. You can see selling from the beginning of the day almost to the end of the day. Okay. So it looks like they had a 5-taco lunch here with a couple of margaritas and then maybe too much hot sauce and they left early. Okay. Right there. Mostly selling from the beginning of the day to the end of the day, but for the most part, they stayed over the rising 200 SMA. That's big. All right, staying over that 200 SMA. Still holding the higher ground. Sloppy hold, but they're still up there, okay? Still up over the all-time high anchor VWAP. So we're still bullish on FNGU. Again, taking a breather yesterday, all right? And I like the idea that there's a possibility they're consolidating, okay, up here over prior consolidation. Okay, let me box that off so you can take a peek at that. Okay, so we got some consolidation. Let's try it again, right through here. All right, and you can see we are consolidating over prior consolidation. See how this is on top of this. Okay, that's bullish right there. All right, so there's FNGU. Let's take a look at a few other sectors. All right, we're going to start off with XLE. All right, XLE having a fantastic day yesterday. Okay, still neutral. Okay, notice they go up, they give it up, they go up, and they give it up. They go down. See how they go down here to quadrant 1, and they give it up. Same thing, they go up to quadrant 4 and they give it up. So they're just neutral. When they can get up there and hold that higher ground up here in the upper third, then they'll be bullish. Okay, right now, price structure, price candle, higher low, higher high, closing over downtrend line 1 and downtrend line 2. That's bullish, okay, but not in the upper third yet, okay. Again, who knows if they can hold it up there, all right. So we'll see what happens, all right. They have a habit of giving it up. So price structure is just neutral through here. They're still in an uptrend. They're making higher lows and higher highs. Again, we've made another higher low, possible. They dig out another higher high. It's possible. We'll see what happens today. That's XLE. Okay, price not in the upper third, not in the lower third, so we're just neutral through here and in an uptrend, okay? Looking like they closed just under that all-time high anchored VWAP. That's the pink line right there. Let's take a look at USO. Okay, so here's some petroleum, crude oil. Okay, higher low, higher high, closing over the trap, over the 17. Again, they go up and they give it up, but not this time. They're coming back. All right, they're coming back. They're in the upper third, so that makes them bullish. Okay, they're closing over the trap. That's bullish. Over the 17, that's bullish. Over this 3-year high anchored VWAP, that's bullish. Here's the big question, okay? Because they got a habit of giving it up. Can they finally hold the higher ground in the upper third? Okay, so there's USO. Still in an uptrend, higher lows, higher highs. Okay, can they finally hold the higher ground? Or are they going to give it up again? We'll see. All right, so there's USO. UNG in a downtrend, currently showing you a head and shoulders pattern. This triple crown up here is the head. These two, this double top right here and here, that's the right shoulder, that's the left shoulder. Here's your neckline, and we're breaking through the neckline right now. Probably going to come down here and challenge the all-time lows right down here. We're in quadrant 1, that's bearish. Okay, you're making lower highs. See the high, lower highs. See the low and lower lows. All right, so that's a downtrend showing you a head and shoulders pattern right now. Okay, in quadrant 1, that's bearish. Okay, let's take a look at GLD. Now gold's in a downtrend. Okay, because technically they made a lower low. So here's a low below the 17. They made a lower low. All right, but okay, they haven't been moving down. Yesterday they did kind of drift a little lower, finally. All right, but all in all, they're still moving up and holding the higher ground up here. So that's bullish if they move up and hold this higher ground up here in quadrant 4. Okay, if they take out this low, all of this consolidation right there, if they take out that low, there is a strong possibility they're coming for the trend line. If they hit the trend line hard and fast, we could get a red rubber school ball bounce, and it come back up to quadrant 4. Okay, if they just melt into it, they could melt all the way through. All right, so gold is in a downtrend, but bullish up here in quadrant 4, holding the higher ground up there, up over 300. So gold's still bullish up there. Notice we closed under the all-time high anchored VWAP right there. Excuse me. All right, so there's gold. We're still bullish, but technically in a downtrend. Okay, let's take a look at silver. Silver, notice moving up, holding the higher ground. Price action, lower high, lower low, closing inside a bullish trap over the rising 17. Up here in quadrant 4, that's a 12-year high for silver, not an all-time high. That's a 12-year high. Okay, and we're up over that 12-year high anchored VWAP up there. Okay, so there's silver. That's bullish. It's in an uptrend. All right, making higher lows and higher highs. Silver's bullish all the way up there in quadrant 4. SMH up there in quadrant 4, looking like it's going to make new highs today. All right, we'll take a look at Intel. Intel's been looking fantastic. All right, SMH right here, in an uptrend, bullish at the top of quadrant 4. Okay, SMH. XLK, bullish at the top of quadrant 4. Okay, and in an uptrend, making higher lows and higher highs. XLF, bullish and in an uptrend, just taking a breather. Okay, up here at the top of quadrant 4, that's bullish. All right, and in an uptrend. Okay, IYT. So transports. Okay, in quadrant 4, that's bullish and in an uptrend. Okay, so we got the makings of a really robust rally. We could get to 650. Okay, because we've got semiconductors and technology is bullish and in an uptrend. Financials are bullish and in an uptrend. And transports are now bullish and in an uptrend. All right, we got a falling dollar. We've got inflation. We have the makings of something that could probably get us way past 650, if you ask me. All right, if we had some great GDP numbers, maybe some good earnings. All right, maybe some free trade agreements. There's a lot of stuff out there in the pipeline that could really get us up to 650 and beyond. All right, just saying. All right, so keep your eyes peeled. All right, I think there's lots of good days ahead this summer. All right, we'll see what happens. There's IYT. All right, let's take a look at the economic package and we'll wrap this day up. All right, for the dollar. Okay, this is the dollar. Okay, this is 2022. That's a 3-year low right here. This is a 3-year low. All of this is major support down here. All these valleys are major support. We broke the bottom of the valleys. Okay? We're in a downtrend. Notice we're making lower highs and lower lows. Lower high and lower low. So we're in a downtrend. We broke major support. So now this will act as minor resistance, this area right through here. Okay, you're in a downtrend and we're moving down. Not these past 5 days, but for the most part, we've been moving down. So we closed near the 97.53 area yesterday. Okay, so there's the U.S. dollar. Max Payne, U.S. dollar in a downtrend. Okay, that makes our goods and services less expensive. All right, especially in the global markets. Max Payne, 619. All right, with a put to call ratio for the puts and calls, only for the puts and calls that expired today, of a little over 1.1 put for each, a little over 1.1 put for each call that expires today at 4:15. All right, on the economic calendar, okay, you can see Monday, kind of not much happening on Monday, really not much happening on Tuesday either. Today, we got FOMC minutes, maybe we get some more trade deals come out, I don't know, we'll find out. All right, we got a petroleum report at 10:30, wholesale inventories at 10, MBA mortgage applications at 7, all right, and FOMC minutes at 2. I don't think there's anything they can do at FOMC, okay? Inflation kind of peaked a little bit last week, all right, and we're still waiting on tariffs, and it looks like we're going to be handing out tariffs unless, of course, POTUS says we're going to delay them, all right, which he's done before. So we'll see what happens, all right? Again, his hands are tied until he figures out what the president's policy is going to be moving forward. And I don't think he's going to make a move without the president, without seeing what the president's policy is going to be regarding imports and exports moving forward, because he doesn't want to wreck the economy. All right, so that's FOMC minutes coming out at 2 p.m. So they'll probably put in a little EKG. All right, price will probably spike and then pull down and pull up and probably wind up moving in the same direction it was moving before. I don't think it's going to change directions. Tomorrow, jobless claims at 8:30, gas report at 10:30, and that's it, really. All right? It's a really light week. Whatever they want to move it, they have free reign, because there's no major economic data other than the tariffs coming out to disrupt whatever they want to do. And so far, they've been bullish, so I would expect more bullishness to manifest shortly, all right? If not today, maybe tomorrow or Friday, all right? Earnings, There's no earnings on the earnings front that's going to matter. There's some familiar names, but nothing here that's going to move the markets. You can see right here, Delta Air, $32 billion. Again, it's familiar names, but nothing that's going to move the markets. Same thing for Friday. That's it for the rest of the week. All right, traders, that's it for me this morning. I will see you all in about 40 minutes or 30 minutes, and we'll kick off the market. All right, we're going to block off the first 15 minutes on SPY and trade the breakout. Hopefully we get a breakout. Okay, on the 5-minute chart in the pre-market. Okay, we're going to block off the first 15 minutes. All right, got to get up over this. Look like they're struggling with 622.10. Okay, so up over 622.10. Up there for SPY. Looks like a possible red array. Green erase is red. All right, looks like they're building up an army to run through there. All right, so we'll see what happens. So that's 10-minute chart on SPYs. Looking for a breakout on the upside. All right, traders, thank you. I'll see you guys all in 30 minutes.